All right. Well, welcome everyone. I think it's recording now. So this is our second speaker series event and the first for this year. Thank you, Boyu, for joining us today and sharing your vast knowledge and experience with us and connecting with all the students and the attendees here. The speaker series started last semester and was an initiative to showcase DePauw's diverse and accomplished international alumni community, and kind of also gives all students at DePauw an opportunity to network, engage, and learn via the exposure to various topics that are relevant to all of DePauw. And I think it's also our first step to try and officially engage international alums via the ISAA. So welcome. I'll let you all introduce yourself. I'm Abhishek Sambatur, class of 2019 econ grad from DePauw, and I'm the president and founder of ISAA.
My name is Area Guede Ramos. I am the senior delegate this year for ISAA. I'm currently a senior at DePauw. I am majoring in English, literature, and religious studies, and I'm an international student from Spain.
Hello there, my name is Michael. Should I also introduce myself, right? All right, yeah, my name is Michael, and I'm a junior student at DePauw University, and also the current junior delegate at ISAA. I am doing econ and also a computer science major, and will be interning at KeyBank.
Awesome. All right, so just a little bit of structure. For the panel, Araya will be moderating. I'll kind of hop in and out of the discussion, but I'll let Boyu and Araya kind of lead most of the conversation. Keep it pretty informal. Boyu, if you have any questions back, you can also ask us questions. We don't want to, just bomb you with questions. So, it's been a while probably since you got back to DePauw. So there are a lot of students here that can provide you with the latest updates as well.
That'd be great. Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right, Araya, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. And thank you so much, Boyu, for joining us today. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself first before we get started?
Sure. So I did I prepared a little short presentation, and okay. I was hoping we can go through that before we start talking about, if anyone has any question. And I know from to listen to people talk about grad school. I was not this dedicated to grad school. So whoever is here, you're already on the very good steps to get to grad school. So should I go ahead with my presentation or?
Yeah. Are you able to share your screen, or is it disabled?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just checking. Cool.
All right, so here we go. So let's talk grad school. Well, hello, my name is Boyu Meng. I am a class of 2015. Currently, I'm a PhD candidate at Dartmouth College. So I had a blast at DePauw, probably for the best years. You don't realize that when you're in college, but when you graduate and then you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, those years were amazing. Not much to worry about when you're in college. I was a physics major and a biochemistry minor. And a little bit of my experience at DePauw, I did summer research with physics professors. I also participated in a lot of leadership experiences. I was in student government for 2 years on the allegation board. I was the person who always give all the international clubs as much money as they needed. And I was also involved in, it was an amazing experience there. And after college, I started thinking about my senior year of college, I started thinking about graduate school. So I applied to graduate school naturally. I applied to both master and PhD programs. And the reason why is I feel like what you gain from a liberal art college experience is the broad experience of different subjects. You get to learn literatures, social science, instead of just your narrow majors. But the downside of that is you don't get very deep in one area, comparing to people who go to a more larger university where they will start majoring in one subject very early on. So I wasn't sure if I'm truly that engaged in research or graduate school. So maybe if that's also the case for you, then maybe a master program is better for you to get your foot out there and to know what actually doing research or what actually people working in academia is like before you commit yourself to 4 or 5 years of PhD school, because it's not easy. And then what I did here is a very interesting little board I made in college. I was digging it back when I was making this presentation. I listed all the school I applied into different tiers, and I organized them on a board with their deadlines and stuff. And you always have to have your top tier schools, and you also want to have like your tier 2 school and your tier 3 school is where you find safety schools. I did, at the end of it, I did get, I think 2 to 3 PhD offers and a couple master offers. But those PhD offers are from my safety schools. So I ended up picking a master program at Duke University, which is my top 1 priority. And looking back, I think what really got me into Duke, at least for the master program, is the alumni connection. The physics department professor, Dr. DeCarlo, he retired now. He had a connection. One of his students was a professor at Duke in the program. And he connected me with that person. And then I emailed him back and forth a couple times. We exchanged thoughts, and he did not say that he got me into the program, but I strongly think the alumni connection are what got me really being considered into Duke. So I encourage anyone to talk to your professor or just reach out to any alumni who's in more of a leadership experience in graduate school if you're applying to that graduate school. So then I go to Duke University, amazing school. I think Duke is is known as the most beautiful campus. It is truly an amazing college, very exciting research going on. And the people there are also very smart, very driven, very passionate about what they do. And it's also not as cold as Indiana, which I really appreciate. When it snows even just like half an inch, the whole city shut down. You don't have class at all. Amazing. And it's very flat. So if you're a jogger, if you're a runner like me, it's great for running. There's so many great running trails there. And it's just beautiful to run around campus and to learn about science. So if you're thinking about Duke, I highly recommended it. And then I also adopted a puppy. Here's my dog Frisbee at Duke University when I was a master there. And then I want to talk to you about a little bit about medical physics, which is the field I am in right now. So by definition, medical physics means the application of physics to the needs of medicine. So what does that mean? That's kind of like a very broad term. So it's responsible for the technical foundations of radiology, radiation oncology, and nuclear medicine. So medical physicists, you can either be in academia and you just focus on research in a lab, you have your own lab and you perform all these clinical research, or you can also be a clinician where you work in a hospital as a medical physicist alongside with physicians to help with patient treatments and determine treatment plans. And in the picture are Brittany and Kara. Those are two of my best friends at Duke. They're truly the 2 people that got me through the program. A graduate school is very different from college. I feel like at college, people are there to help you to get through it. You are expected to graduate. Like people are pushing you to graduate.
Yeah.
Know what you want, and then you have to have set goals and aims you want to do and what you want to achieve in the world, and then you go out there and do it yourself. Not faculty members going to push you to get to where you are. And then a little bit more about medical physics is after our trainings, you have to go through a matching process, which is exactly it uses the same algorithm, the same company who does it, and then you match into a residency, and you have to go through residency before you can practice as a medical physicist in a clinic. But the perk about it is, well, the downside of it is when you're a resident, you have a very shitty pay, but as soon as you become a clinician, the pay gets much better. So then after my master program, getting exposed to academic at Duke, I was determined that I wanted to go to a PhD school. And at that point, it's pretty clear what I need to do instead of my first try at applying to PhD school. I only apply to very specific programs where, so now I'm applying to programs instead of applying to a school. You're applying to lab where you know that's the research that gets you excited. Like, you know that's the lab who does a very specific research you're very interested. So you apply to more like your mentors instead of just a school. And then it's different. People still apply to school and then they rotate before they commit to a mentor. But the reason why I did this is because I did a master already and I'm not expected. I don't want to rotate again and waste 2 years before I settle down in the lab and start a PhD all over again. I want to get into a PhD school, graduate as soon as I can. I don't want to spend 5 to 6 years in a PhD school after 2 years of master. And right. after the master program, you will have, during your master program, you will have research experiences. That's where you need to commit yourself and doing research. You need to get publication out. You need to go out there to conferences to present, whether it's a poster or an oral presentation. Go to a conference, present your work where you can network with people. That's where you learn what's happening in the world, what lab is doing what, and then really take advantage of that master experience and then build yourself a better resume. And that's what I did. So I got, I think, 2 publication out during my master, and then I presented at 2 conference. And the other very important stuff for a PhD school is your recommendation letter. Your mentor or 2 or 3 other professors really need to vouch for you. So you need to build a strong connection where they will really hype you up for the PhD school. The reason why I did not stay at Duke is because my mentor at Duke does not have fundings. He only have fundings for master students, not a PhD students. Contrary to what normal people think, PhD students are actually very, very expensive. If I am assistant professor and I just got actually cheaper for me to hire postdoc than hiring PhD students, because postdoc, you just have to pay for their salaries. But for PhD students, at least a PhD student like me who's fully funded, your PI, your mentor have to pay for your tuitions, and he has to pay for your health insurance and all the other stuff. And on top of that, he has to pay for your stipend. So PhD students are actually very expensive. So anytime a mentor is interested in you and taking you on as a PhD student, just know that he basically owns you. Like, he pays for everything, and then you are just there, like you're like a property of the lab and you're just there to work. So then in a few, I'm a 4th year PhD student, and because I have a master, I'm hoping to very soon, a couple months, hopefully, you never know. So after 20 years of school, I have accepted a early decision residency position. So I'm finally moving on to real life jobs, sort of, because it's a residency job, right? It's not a real physician job. So I'm moving to Dallas to UT Southwestern and taking their radiation for microphysics. So that's kind of 5 minutes of my experience and what I went through. But the real catch for anyone who's thinking about grad school is, why do you want to go to grad school? Like, before you determine or before you jump right into graduate school, I want everyone to think about, why do you want to go to grad school? And then ask yourself that, should I go to grad school? Because I got this comic, PhD Comics is a very actually popular site for PhD students to look at, or graduate students to look at. And it's so true. This comic, it may seem silly, but I'm convinced that this is like every PhD students have to go through this. So it's not just sunshine and rainbow at PhD school. So before you commit yourself, at least for a PhD student, before you commit yourself into that 5 years or 6 years of PhD education, ask yourself, should I go to grad school? And then really ask yourself, at the end of the day, we're all like, you graduate college, now you have a college degree and you're out there in the world, and you have to ask yourself what you want to achieve in this world. Do you want to work in academia? Do you want to become a scholar? Is that what you want to do? Do you have a passion for research? Like solving a problem, publishing paper, is that what you're interested in? Do you want to become a professor in the future to mentor young scientists? Is that what you want? Or are you interested in a specific career that requires a professional school training? And are you one of those lifelong learners? Do you just have the curiosity for knowledge that you have to learn more? So on. I listed some reasons that, if these are the reasons you want to go to graduate school, maybe it's not, maybe you should reconsider that. If you want to go to graduate school for money, no. If you want to go to graduate school because you don't want to find a job right now, or you want to go to graduate school because you after college, or do you want to go to graduate school because you can just maintain your F1 visa and it's an easy step to do? I posted this very easy case study here. This is Alumni A. He is one of my friends. We are in the same class of 2015. We graduated exactly the same time. After graduate, I went on with a graduate school. He went on as a software engineer at Google. His starting salary was at $200K. And every year you have a little promotion in one of these tech company. And now, like currently, he's earning a salary around $300K. And because he worked for these big tech company, Google sponsored his H1 visa, and he's in the help him to get the green card application. Well, meanwhile, me, I'm a PhD student who have a $30K stipend, and I'm still on my H1 visa. So you really have to ask yourself, like, do I want to go to grad school? Is this is what I want need a graduate school education? But I do love academia. Here is just a math paper. Well, a lot of people is gonna think it's nerdy, but this is what gets me excited, is like these very interesting math, and you solve a day you're a problem and you use ways to solve it. And then this is me defending my master thesis, and the growth, and you grow from a newbie in the field and then gradually starting to work and then become the expert in the world in one specific area. That kind of achievement is what gets me excited. And then other thing is, like, for PhD students, you're really solving a problem. Your PI have all these amazing idea, and he's like, hey, Boyu, I wonder how can we image a tumor? And then you are responsible to go out there and like create an imaging system. I have never taken any optic classes, but it was great. Like you have to learn, you read all the published paper and out there, and then you built something, and it, of course it's gonna fail the first time, and you like tried again and again and again, and finally you built something yourself, and then you solved the problem, and that's amazing. And then putting out a published paper. This is actually the first paper I published, and it's in the it was rejected 7 times before it was finally accepted. But hey, it's out there, and I'm very proud of it. And now people can look it up when they have a question about targeted cancer therapy. And if they want to know how to quantify it, my paper is going to show up for them to know what has been done in the field. And this is a stare at Duke University. Thinking about life. You don't notice it. It's just one of those stairs at Duke. But as you can see, that the little dent on the stairs goes from the left on the top, and then it goes all the way to the right at the bottom. It's because the left on the top is where people where students enter, and the right on the bottom is where people left. So after decades of scholars working on these stairs, you have figured out that people always take this one narrow path. That's why so many people step on the same spot, and the stair got even a little dented. And everyone took the straight path from the starting point to the end point. That's why there's dented on the stairs. But sometimes it's not necessary to take the shortcut, right? Sometimes it's better to take a long way, and sometimes the long way is more rewarding. And this is one of the seminar talk at Duke University I attended by Dr. James Allison before he won the Nobel Prize for his immune checkpoint blockage cancer therapy. Before his discovery, before Dr. James Allison's discovery, there's any treatment to extend late stage lung cancer patients' survival times. And it's because of his research. Now there are increasingly more advanced technology to treat late stage lung cancer patients to extend their life expectancy. And someone has to do it, right? So that kind of basically sum up what I want to get from this. And I want this to be more of a discussion. And if anyone has any question, you're welcome to ask me.
Yeah, definitely. There's panelists that can submit questions, but I think we have a few questions that are just more general that will probably help everyone kind of understand what you're doing, and also kind of figure out the big question, right? When or why should I go to grad school, if that's on their mind? And with your 20+ years of experience, that's definitely going to help them, at least if not make the decision, at least get them started thinking in the right path.
Sure.
Well, while we wait to see if anyone has questions, just like type them in the chat, or there's also like a Q&A button. Either one works, whatever you prefer. In terms of like your DePauw education, you did mention a little bit that like liberal arts is not as focused as you're going to get like a master's or a PhD, but how do you feel like your education at DePauw helped you in the later stages of graduate school?
Well, I definitely think liberal art college education is one of the best experience. If I have kids in the future, I would send my kids to a liberal art college. Because I think I'm a better writer in general than a lot of people who attended large state schools. And for PhD students, you have to write a lot of paper. And I think I had the opportunity. I took British literature too, which means I took British literature 1 during my time at DePauw. So I think all these writing classes really helped me read paper faster, which is one of the most necessary skills out there, is reading, your information collecting skills. So I read paper faster and I was able to write paper faster or better in a way. And I think that those are one of the most fundamental skills anyone can use, or it will benefit you in any field, not just in any field in general.
I think we have a couple of questions, Area. One in the chat and one in the Q&A.
Yes. Let's see, Amreha is asking, as an international student, how hard is it to secure a full ride scholarship at any graduate school programs? And also how much of a role does GPA play in funding?
So that for PhDs, it depends. For my master program at Duke, I did get scholarship, not full scholarship. It was a, I forgot how much, but it was, I think, a quarter or 1/3 of the tuition scholarship. But so if you're applying to master programs, I would definitely recommend you looking into, or at least ask when you apply if there is any scholarship, because master's programs are not cheap. They're very expensive. For PhD schools, you are, if you find an advisor, if you have a PI, then you're basically a contracted worker. So that is a automatic full scholarship. He will be paying for your tuition. I do know when I first applied right out of college to PhD schools, I did get these very different offers from larger state school where the funding are not as top tier research school. They will admit you as a master's student, and as soon as you pass your qualification exam, that's when you become a PhD candidate. Then that's where the PI will pick up your bills instead of, so you don't have to pay for anything else. But definitely when you apply, ask if they have fundings, or if they are one of the program where you have to secure fundings. I know both exist out there, but when you apply to a larger school, more of a top tier research schools, it is kind of automatic. Everyone knows that you apply, and then you will, at least for a PhD student, you will be getting a stipend. But you also have responsibility on top of it. You have to TA. Some school does that. Like you have TA obligations. You have to TA like 1 or 2 class every semester. Normally 1, because 2 is a little demanding. But those are different things different school does. But for international students, I think if you're applying at the same, if you're applying to these top tier research programs where fundings are not a problem, their PI is very good at bringing in fundings, bringing in research grant, then I don't think international student is at least discriminated against. But if you are competing for like for a larger state school or where research funding is very limited, I do think that international students are putting are at a position where a disadvantaged position, because I know that if you're not a resident in America, there are some national grant that you won't be able to apply. And if the PI cannot bring in the funding, and the funding has to go from NIH, NIH normally have grants that also apply to fundings might be limited for international students. So just be aware of that. Make sure when you apply that the lab or the PI you're interested is good at bringing in research fundings and is willing to fund you.
Cool. I think there are a few more questions coming in, but I actually have a quick thing that kind of popped in my mind during your presentation. When you applied for the master's program at Duke, did you already consider going forward and doing a PhD, or did you kind of take it one step at a time? Because I know I have a friend who went straight from undergrad to like a PhD program because he just knew that he wanted to get a PhD and didn't even consider like a master's program. So is it like, is the master's program like a buffer for people who like want to do a PhD, but just don't know whether they can fully commit to it? Or is it just that you happen to get more and more interested in what you were learning, and then you eventually decided to do a PhD?
I'm not gonna lie, I think it's both for me. I've always known I want to do grad school, but like again, I think unless you're very, very sure that like you are very passionate about research, I do not actually recommend. If you have a lot of research experience in undergrads, if you have been doing research and you're very committed on doing research, I think going to a PhD school straight up, like that's fine. But I hate to disappoint people, but it's not what you think it is. Like it truly,
it's not as glamorous as it seems.
Yeah, it's not like what an undergrad thing do. It's actually you have very limited research freedom. Like whatever you do, it's whatever your PI want you to do. A lot of people go into PhD think, oh, I'm gonna create all these amazing stuff. No, you don't. Your PI get all the credit, and you are just there to work, which is no problem because you are just a starting researcher. Right. You need someone who's more experienced to tell you how to become real scholar. Like, but it's not what an undergrad think of PhD students do. So I think the master helped me to realize what a PhD student is, because I was able to work. You kind of work in the lab, but then because you are a master student, you pay your own tuition, so you're not you're technically not owned by your PI. So you still get to experience around. Like I was jumping in different lab, which helped me to figure out what is the research I'm interested. Because if you go straight into, if you don't have as much of a research experience and you go into a field, you commit yourself into a field before you figure out what you truly are interested in researching, it's not going to be easy. But again, like a lot of other programs let you rotate. Some PhD students are able to rotate in different lab the first 2 years, and then they figure out specifically what lab they're interested in. So like if someone who's really interested in biochemistry and they want to go into biochemistry, biomedical engineering for their graduate school, they can apply to a large university, and then they are able to rotate the first 2 years. I think you do 4 months for each lab, and you rotate the first 2 years in like 4 to 5 different labs before you commit to a specific area. I circle back into that question. GPA definitely plays a huge deal in applying to grad school. Everyone like look at your numbers too. So I don't have the best GPA. I think I have a 3.5 or a 3.6, so it's not the best GPA, but as long as you have a decent enough GPA, I think that's great, because I am an international student. So I didn't do that well in British writing too. Like I loved it, but so I don't want to discourage you from exploring like all these different subjects you're interested, but just know that your GPA is also like what you carry on with you forever. I know for sure if you're applying to like medical school, that will be my GPA will be on the lower like end. But I think for PhD school, people don't really like they don't really hold you. A 3.6, 3.4 even is good, but also your GRE scores is going to help you too. And of course, the higher the score, I think that's going to help you in securing a better funding or scholarship for master at least. Your GPA is definitely one of those.
Cool. Thanks, Boyu. All right, no problem. Area, you want to take V's question?
Yes. So we had a few more questions come in. Can you talk more about your experience at Duke? I am considering a master's at Duke in data science, but I have not made up my mind yet of whether I should get a master right after DePauw or not.
Sure. I also want to say that like, I don't want people to think master is just a stepping stone for you to go to PhD. A lot of people go to master, and then after master, they go into industry and find a real job. Like those are, I think actually majority of the people go to master program to go to industry or like academic, like work as a researcher, scientist or something. So definitely you don't have to go on for a PhD after a master. And a master is a very efficient way for you to rebrand yourself, like giving yourself a new label and then be able to find a job. Because right now, I do know that liberal college education doesn't give you that specific of an education. And when you apply to jobs, that's kind of a disadvantage when people ask how much of an experience in, like, for example, in the students' experience, a data science, you don't have comparing to people who have a master that extra experience. So going to a master, and then if you want to find jobs after a master, a lot of people do that too. For Duke, I know Duke has one of the best biostats program, at least I think has the #1 nation biostats program. Don't quote me, I could be wrong. I think if you want to go to Duke, I highly recommend it. It's such a great city. I loved Durham as a city. It's a very, how do you say, it's a very cute little town. It's not little at all, but it's also not a large city. So it gives you a little town vibe, but it also have everything. I think H Mart is 30 minutes drive away. I don't know if anyone even know H Mart. When we all just like grow up and Greencastle, where I think the most international thing is like
students in the bubble still.
Yeah,
in the Greencastle bubble still.
Yeah, but yeah, it's very international. Durham, Duke, it's called the Research Triangle. It's a foodie town. The food there is just amazing. I had the best fried chicken on waffle there. It's amazing, it's also the environment there is great. If anyone's into college basketball, Duke is very into basketball. Every year, the biggest event is their basketball games against the UNC because everyone hate each other. Like UNC people hate Duke, and
see famous
kind of like
rivalry.
the Dartmouth and Wabash. Yeah. So I would recommend it. Like if you want to go for a data science master program right out after college to at Duke University, I would recommend it. I just before you go, make sure that's what you want to do, and then know that master programs are expensive, and then I don't think people normally get full ride scholarship for master programs, so you kind of have to get your own fundings. But yeah, I was able to get some scholarships, so just make sure you ask for scholarship.
Nice. All right, so we have another question from Guardian. Do you have any tips on how to find out whether you like research or not? And are there any other possibilities other than trying it out during summer?
Sure.
Research. So
yeah, I know for sure. Well, at least when I was at DePauw, that there are professors who have active ongoing lab. I don't know exactly what subject or area you're in, but like I know for sure physics, at least some physics professor, Dr. Komives, and some chemistry professor and biology professor doing research during the semester as well. And get your hands dirty, go in and ask them if they allow you to work in their lab or not, like, but make a case. And then definitely, I think the best way to find out if you want to do research or not is do research. Like there's no other way for you to know if you like it or not. Like just do it. Like go to a conference. Definitely, I think what I recommend a lot for undergraduate students is just write whatever you do, put it in an abstract, send it out to a conference, and it's not that hard. I think normally conference would not reject you. Like if you send an abstract, at least you will get a poster. And
Right.
As soon as you have that poster presentation, you can put that in your resume when you apply for graduate school. And then people know that you're serious and you have put your work out there. And this is one of the major scientific community is people are bad at advertising or like putting their work out. So like, I think that's one of the key quality people look at when you apply is, are you good at advocating for your own work? So I would recommend maybe a regional conference. You don't have to go to like the national, the biggest conference out there, but especially now, it's a great time to put work in conference. Like everything is online, like do it, like just apply, just put your abstract and send it to a conference and then attend it remotely. You don't even have to travel. Like you don't have to, like before you need to find fundings to sponsor you to for travel and stay at a hotel. But now like you can just put your work out there. So that's what I think. If you want to figure out if you like it or not, like do research and then try to go to a conference in the area you are interested in and see if the people in this area, like the researcher in this area, and listen to their work, see if you're interested. If that makes you interested and you can see yourself doing those work, then research.
Yeah, I think it's also like DePauw is probably the best time to do that exploration because it's somewhat lower stakes compared to, you know, trying to figure it out during your master's program or PhD. And even like conferences, I think you don't even need to do like a super extensive, you know, year-long research now to go attend a conference. You can, you know, take your independent thesis that you do over a semester and submit that, and people will still invite you to conferences, I think. But that's actually a very important point. I think that people don't really talk about much, like conferences and how important. Even if you decide that, okay, this is not your thing, it's just a good thing to have on your resume and to talk about as an experiential thing in the future.
Well, speaking of conferences, someone asked, do you get more travel or conference opportunities during grad school and postgrad as compared to undergrad?
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. When you're in grad school, either at least for a PhD standpoint, you're obligated to go. It will pressure you. Have to lab. You have to put the work out there. So it's kind of it's part of your work now. It's not, you're not doing it, like you're not proactively doing it. You're more like you are expected to do it. So that's a difference there. And also like because you're expected as part of your job, like your boss will pay for travel. Registration, the food, and the travel, everything is paid. Versus when you're undergrad, everything is paid by yourself. But you definitely get more opportunity, but in the way that you're pressured to go. But as you're an undergrad, it's not like anyone's limiting you from going. There's no limiting factor. If you want to go to conference, and if you have any question about which conference you need to go, I'd suggest you do a Google search. It's just type in the area you're interested and then type in conference and do some research out and for yourself and then figure out which conference you want to go, whether it's a regional conference or an international conference or a national conference. I don't think anyone is stopping you from going. You just need to find that information and then do it yourself. But definitely do talk to your professor. I think professor at DePauw will have some idea, like they will maybe help you with your research on what conference you want to go. They will have some idea about your work, where your work is going to gather the most viewers.
Right. Isn't there also like a thing of like credibility? Some conferences are more well-known or they're worth the cost versus, especially when you're undergrad, because it's expensive, you can't really like attend many. So I think professors are your best resource to figure out where to go, where to try to go.
Yeah, for sure. And at the end of the day, you can always reach out to alumni and then ask them about where they would recommend. If you're in the field of imaging or like radiology, like you would go to AAPMs or SPIE. Like these are conferences, like if you just reach out to alumni in that field, I think that's a great conversation to start with an alumni too.
Yep.
Okay, so we have one last question, unless anyone else wants to send in any last minute questions. And it has many parts, so if you need me to repeat any of it, just let me know. What was your outreach strategy when you were applying for PhD programs as a master's student? Did you learn about Dartmouth's program and mentor through your connections at Duke? Did you ever send out cold emails to professors? And if so, what was the most important piece of strategy that you'd recommend to the DePauw students?
Yeah, so first, I'd say everyone's experience is going to be different. And I'm sure different school will have different policy as well. But I learned about Dartmouth first because it's an Ivy school and I will always want to go to an Ivy. And then, but how I learned about it is, in my area of research during my master year where I'm interested, the lab here has one of the most advanced research in Cherenkov imaging, which is what I'm really interested. So that's how I get to learn about this research group at Dartmouth. And what I want to say about the cold emails, definitely send them, like 100%. Like that's how I got the interview at Dartmouth. I sent out, did not hear back first. And then I send out emails to, I go through their faculty list and find people who do research in the area you're interested. And I send out email to everyone. Everyone that look like they have fundings. So if you look at their faculty profile page and then they have active research going on, that means, of course, they have fundings. If their most published paper is in 2010, that means maybe this person has not been very active in academia for 10 years. So yeah, go through their personal faculty profile and then go to their lab page, even like figure out what they do. If that interests you, if that's kind of something you're interested and they're actively still doing research, reach out to them. Introduce yourself, attach your resume with your email, come up with an interesting question. Don't just introduce yourself and then end the email like that. That way, you're not expecting a response. Always give them a reason to respond to you. Like ask them a question, an interesting question. Don't ask a stupid one. Like that does not look good on you, but always come up with an interesting question for them. Like whether it was like, oh, I have experience in this area as well. Like, can you tell me more about like this research you do? Like read into a little bit about what they do and then reach out to them and send that email. That's how I got my interview at Dartmouth, is from Dr. Zhao. Like I don't even work, like he still wanted me to interview here. And then I was interviewed here on Dartmouth on a 20 people interview. And then my interview was on Friday. I interviewed with 20 faculty members. It was a very intense day. And then I got my offer on Monday. It was that fast. Like I emailed him, I emailed Dr. Zhao, and he was like, oh, great resume. I'm like, about the specific responding to my question. And then he's like, he told me that he's interested in interviewing me, and then he told the admission committee to put me on the interview list. I know different school does things differently, but at least at Dartmouth here, it's faculty member will take on students. Faculty member are the one who suggest which students they want to interview, and because he recommend recommend for my interview. I was able to get here to interview with 20 different faculty. And then I actually started working for Dr. Pogue, which is the one who I want to work for. But what I want to say is I did not initially got that interview from him, I actually got from another professor. I reached out, and I was able to get here at Dartmouth. And then from talking to him, Dr. Pogue and Dr. Davis was able to take another look at my resume and reevaluate and actually took me on. So I say send as many cold email as possible. Like, at least you don't make a mistake. Or I'm gonna tell you guys a very bad story. Probably one of the worst mistake I've made. Straight out of college, going into Duke University, I was looking into different lab to do research with. And there is a professor, he was initially very interested in doing research with me. We talked on the phone for the first time, discussing like possible research project I could do with him. And he is a Chinese professor. And from talking to him, I gather that he's not born in the US. So after the conversation on the phone, I follow up with the conversation with an email, but I was stupid and I sent the email in Chinese. And because there are things I figured it would just be easy for me to say it in Chinese. And guess who never responded? And guess who just lost the opportunity to work in his lab? So yeah, because I've never had a Chinese professor at Duke, at DePauw. I don't know how to interact with them. And now I see a Chinese professor. And my intuition is like, maybe I can talk to him in Chinese, but don't do that. So professionalism, if anything, like I think that's 101. Don't make stupid mistake. As long as you're not making stupid mistakes, send out as many cold email as possible.
Well, if anybody is afraid of, reaching out and stuff, this is a story you could probably be inspired by. Like, you can still bounce back from mistakes, but Boyu, this is also on permanent record now. It's going to be on our website. So just
oh wow,
full disclosure.
I did not know that. I would not.
Yeah, it's being recorded. It'll be on the website. It's going to be there forever. So if for some reason that professor sees this, maybe he'll have a good laugh. But just coming back to that, I think one thing. So in our previous speaker series event, we talked more about like careers and jobs, applying for, like he was working in the tech industry, Rudra, and cold emailing and networking was a big theme in that. And I don't think many people associate networking, cold emailing with applying to graduate school. They just don't think it's something you do. And I'm glad you pointed out the importance of that, even when you're applying to graduate programs. So is that something you did for even Duke or just for your PhD program?
That's what I do majorly for my PhD program, but okay. As I was
you had the one experience.
I was definitely talking to faculty member at Duke as well. So yeah.
Yeah. So just a quick follow up on that. Do professors have, I guess, influence over, decisions at master's levels also, like, on admissions and even getting the interview, or does it depend from school to school? Like, is it just a thing at Dartmouth, or does it happen across the board?
I think for master level, the admission board probably have more to say. For PhD, okay. Because the PI is one who pay for you, so they're your employee, right. So they probably have the most say. But different school could vary differently. But that's just what I gather from my experience. For master, I think the admission board is the say in the process.
Cool. Thanks. I think we have one question with someone requesting anonymously your email address. So someone's going to hit you up for sure after this event.
Yeah.
So if you're comfortable sharing that.
Sure. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. Like if you have any question, I'd love to help. As I to the as well. Like I think this is a challenging time for international students, and you should be reaching out to alumni and to gather as much help as you could get. There are a lot of international alumni out there, and I think a lot of us is willing to help the current international students to succeed in this world. And yeah, if you have any question, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I am still currently a PhD student, but I will try as much as I can to help you. And at the same time, also use other resources as well to like get to people, empower. Like if you are interested in medical physics, I would recommend getting in touch with Dr. T. Shower, which is, and Dr. Turkington. Like go out there and find alumni and use them as much as you can, because they're there to help you.
Awesome. I think we have a few minutes here. Maria, is there any last questions that you want to know?
No, I don't think so. I think you pretty much answered everything that I had to ask about graduate school. I'm also, I'm a senior, so I just got done with applying. So it's a relief to know that my reasons to want to go to grad school are good reasons. So thank you for your presentation also. It was very useful.
Of course. Yeah, that was completely unplanned for. So Boyu, just for everyone who's listening to this, Boyu did that on his own, and you know, that was amazing. I think it really helped bring everything into context. But thanks again, and you can you can share your email using that chat option at the bottom. I think you can send it to all the attendees if you want to drop your email on there.
Is that the Q&A or?
Is there do you see a chat button between the share screen and Q&A? Yeah, I think it's on there, and then you can. It gives you the option to send it to all attendees. I think. Do that.
My name at th at dartmouth.edu. TH stand for Thayer School of Engineering, which is the school I'm in.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, everyone, for attending. I hope you learned something from this. This will be on our website if you want to revisit anything that Boyu said or answer any question that you found interesting. His presentation will be on there as well. And Boyu, thanks again for taking the time from your busy schedule. Hopefully, when we talk again, we'll call you Dr. Meng. And
hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. Best of luck. This year is going to be exciting for you. I hope UT treats you well.
Yeah.
Start off.
Yeah.
I mean, after 20+ years, I think you need it. I think you need a big change.
Yeah. I'm so over school.
Awesome. All right. Reach out to us if there's anything. If you ever want to do anything else, if you want to get involved, my email, alumni engagement. We're happy to have you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck with your application.